Hello everyone, my name is Frederick Lopez, and in honor of Wonder Woman arriving on Blu-Ray, I decided to go over my personal favorite superhero origin films and share them with you. So this is going to be a very different ranking video. It's not really going to be in any particular order from least favorite to most favorite. I'm just going to mention my top 10 personal favorite superhero origin films to you. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, but this is going to be a brief list. But for honorable mentions, Brandon Lee's The Crow from 1994, Darkman, The Rocketeer, and The Shadow are very well done superhero comic book origin films. But these are just my top 10 favorites. Before I continue, if you have others that I did not mention in the list, feel free in the comments below to mention your favorite superhero origin films. To start off the list is Blade. I really love the 1998 film Blade. It sets up everything you need to know about the character. Now, of course, it does take some embellishments from the comic. He is half vampire, half human, not all human. But I love how it sets up the villain Deacon Frost and Blade's backstory of what happened to his mother and how he's after his mother's killer. And everything you need to know about Blade is set up in this one film, whether it be from the blood rave at the beginning of the movie, his relationship with Whistler, to Stephen Dorff's brilliant performance as Deacon Frost in that final climatic duel. It's a hard R vampire movie, hard R superhero comic book film, and this is really Marvel's first outing in their new cinematic universe. Not Marvel Studios, but Marvel in general, before they moved to XMen, SpiderMan, and what we know of Marvel today. So Blade was really the first one to just kind of like open the gates for other incarnations to arrive on cinema. And I really love Blade, not only as a vampire film, but as a comic book adaptation that's just very true to the source material and not afraid to just pull any punches. Blade is an amazing origin film. Another film would be X-Men First Class. Now, I love the X-Men trilogy, the first two more than part 3, but I wasn't sure how a reboot would be with a younger cast. However, even though it's not entirely the first class from the comics, it is a younger group of X-Men, and they do play around the period of the 1960s, much like the earlier comics. Matthew Vaughn directed this before he did Kingsman. A very well done X-Men movie that really is a great X-Men movie without that much Wolverine. It's Charles Xavier, Eric Lyncher, Professor X, Magneto, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender do a great job. Jennifer Lawrence still cared about the role of Mystique in this. You get Nicholas Hoult as Beast, Hank McCoy, and it's an all-around great movie. I love the soundtrack, and Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw. It really sets up the X-Men and provides a backstory to the previous trilogy of the X-Men films. I really like it, and it paved the way for future incarnations, not only with a younger crew, but paved the way for the X-Men Days of Future Past storyline. After that, I really love this 2004 film called Hellboy. Hellboy was a perfect start to the Dark Horse Comics character. I love Hellboy. Ron Perlman's perfect. Guillermo del Toro, I loved his work on Blade too. So doing Hellboy was not that much different. And this one still had that demonic vibe to it before it was full fantasy. I love everything about Hellboy, whether it be through his father figure, him being found as an infant, and then ultimately realizing his destiny upon the world and choosing his fate as being Earth's destroyer or its savior. And I really like it. You get a romance there, and you also get this bodyguard agent character, and everything's kind of told through his perspective. We're the audience members through his eyes, and we get to see what the world of Hellboy is like. Overall, I wish Hellboy, this incarnation of Hellboy, had more sequels. Hellboy 1 was a fantastic film by itself and an origin story for the character of Hellboy on film. The next film is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. I really love this film. It really feels more like the comic books. It's darker, it's gritty. It's before it became kid-friendly, so they actually use swords, nunchucks, and use martial arts. Elias Koteas as Casey Jones, Judith Hogg as April O'Neil. You got Master Splinter there, Urosaki. You have Shredder. I love everything about this movie, even with Corey Feldman's voice as Donatello and some of the other voices. It's a fantastic independent film, and at the time was the most successful independent film. Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a comic book adaptation done right, done seriously. While it may not be like the cartoon, it is faithful to the comic book, and I do like it for that. And Jim Henson's work with the puppets and just like with the turtle suits. Yeah, after like over 27 years, Ninja Turtles is probably still my favorite out of all the Ninja Turtle films, and it's sad that we haven't really got into that dark, gritty atmosphere while still being kid appropriate. I love everything about it, and then of course the Foot Clan being a parody of the Hand from Marvel Comics. Ninja Turtles is a great origin story and a great first outing with them facing against Master Shredder. It teaches you that forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for a late pizza. Another film is Marvel Studios' first outing in 2008 with Iron Man. I love the first Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. is perfect as Tony Stark. I couldn't even imagine Tom Cruise in the role. But everything about this film is great because not only does it set up the Avengers in some small way, but it doesn't really need to be connected to anything else. It's Iron Man. It shows you how Tony Stark was, the journey he goes through, being a captured prisoner, him having an arc reactor in his heart, him realizing that his weapons put people in harm's way and he wants to change the way he lives. He wants to save people. He doesn't want to help kill people, so he becomes Iron Man. We get to see the stages of him becoming Iron Man, the motivation, and so it ultimately leads him to become a hero in the Marvel Universe. Iron Man is a fantastic film. It's probably, in my personal opinion, the best Marvel Studios film still to this date. I love the first Iron Man. It's just a shame that not all the other films were like the first Iron Man, because I really love it. Jon Favreau did a great job directing. I like Gwyneth Paltrow as Mrs. Potts. And I like Jeff Bridges as Ironmonger. Iron Man is a great movie. After that would be a movie that breaks the fourth wall. That would be 2016's Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is the Merc with a mouth. They basically rectified all that mess in X-Men Origins Wolverine and provides a brilliant origin story, a romance within an origin story of Wade Wilson and how he became Deadpool. I love it. There's a song through the stages of him coming up with a costume. You know the lyrics, you know, like, sexy motherfucker, that song. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Deadpool is just one of those perfect break the fourth wall, humor-filled movies. It's everything that is Deadpool, and I love it. I love how they're able to bring this character and do it justice finally. And it's one of my favorite origin stories and romances, really. It's a brilliant origin story. Everything you need to know about Deadpool's origin, how he became Deadpool, why he exists, is said in this film. After Deadpool would probably be the 2002 SpiderMan film starring Tobey Maguire with James Franco, Kirsten Dunst, and William Dafoe, directed by Sam Raimi. I love the first Spider-Man. The first two Spider-Man by Sam Raimi are still the best Spider-Man films. It's an origin. It's straight from the comics. Everything you need to know. Of course, there is no Gwen Stacy. There's Mary Jane, but hey, he's in high school. He gets bit by a radioactive spider. With great power comes great responsibility. You feel it when Cliff Robertson's Uncle Ben dies, and him becoming a hero, Peter Parker becoming the Spider-Man. It's just a great movie from beginning to end. Who could forget that last shot where it's just like, those I love will always be those who pay. And he's just like, who am I? I'm Spider-Man. And that final swing and then just off the American flagpole, brilliant. Everything about the first Spider-Man is patriotic, heroic, everything that is Spider-Man. You look at the first Spider-Man, you're like, yeah, that's a Spider-Man from the comics right there. I love the first Spider-Man. It gets kind of a bad rap with Tobey Maguire, but you know what? That first Spider-Man is still the best out of Amazing Spider-Man and probably Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, I love it. And it was after X-Men, after Blade, and really was the catalyst for the more family-friendly Marvel films you would see in the 2000s. After this would be 2017's Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman. Of course, it starts in present day after BVS, but it's an origin story from beginning to end, as far as how she was born, how she got her training, why she exists, how she became the Wonder Woman we all know and love. Great story. Probably the best DC superhero origin story since Batman Begins and Superman the movie. I love everything about Wonder Woman, and it's a female hero. Finally on screen we get to see Wonder Woman. A brilliant first outing. I just hope that the sequels are as well done as the first movie. After that, I really loved Batman Begins from 2005. Batman Begins was the first time we got to see Bruce Wayne's story. The first time Batman Bruce Wayne was front and center. We get to see how he was afraid of bats, why he became Batman. You get to see why does a guy dress up as a bat to intimidate criminals. You get that reason why he exists in Batman Begins and his origin. Of course, it takes some embellishments from the comics, but still, one of my favorite origin films is Batman Begins with Christian Bale. I just love everything about it, everything about Batman beginning. Everything you need to know about Batman is in this film, really, and how he got created, and it grounds it in reality. I love it. I love everything about the film. And much like Superman the movie, he's not in the costume for like the first hour and a half of the movie, so you really get to see more of the man making the suit than the suit making the man. And that brings me to my last origin film, and that is Superman the movie from 1978. The gold standard for a comic book superhero origin film. Starts on Krypton. We get to see the kids find Kal-El, him grow up, him leave Smallville, and then become the Man of Steel, Superman. Stand for truth, justice, and the American way. Superman the movie is an epic directed by Richard Donner. Christopher Reeve is Superman, and it set the gold standard for Batman Begins, Wonder Woman. Pretty much every other superhero film to follow is set up how to do an origin story right. And without it, I don't think you really would have had as other serious incarnations in comic book films, and you really were showing how to do an origin story properly. And because of that, I'm thankful for Superman the movie. And again, this is in no order, but my personal favorite superhero origin film still to this day is Superman the movie. It does everything that an origin story does right. It shows you why the character exists. It shows you his background. It shows you the purpose of the character, and then ultimately the character's prominence in a modern day society and what defines him as a hero, as an individual. And I really like that. So Superman the movie is my favorite superhero origin film. Anyway, that's a brief list of my favorite superhero origin films. Again, in the honorable mention list is The Rocketeer, with Darkman, The Shadow, and The Crow. I would also probably add Batman 1989 and The Mask of Zorro. Even though it's not entirely superhero, it is a superhero, and that's a really good origin story. Anyway, that is all. If there is a superhero origin film you like that I did not mention in my favorites list, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I just wanted to bring my personal 10 favorite in honor of Wonder Woman arriving on Blu-ray. Anyway, I hope everyone out there enjoyed this video. If you like this, click the like button, comment, and subscribe for more videos.